So hello everyone, this is going to be the last video from the unit 3.4 and we already are doing paper 2 first because this paper 2 is similar marks, that is 250, and there is a good score that we can score anything from 135 to 145. I had scored 136, so this is something which is a good paper and we need to focus on this. In this unit we are going to discuss this very important topic because every second year UPSC will have question from either this topic, that is impact of these Buddhism, Jainism, Christianity and Islam on Indian society, or this impact on Buddhism, Jainism, Christianity, Islam and Hinduism on tribes. So every year or every second year there is a question from this topic. So this topic is one of the most favorite topic of UPSC, as well as this is the most important one. So without wasting even a little bit of time, we are going to start the journey. So the first thing that we are going to start is from Buddhism. Now in the general studies we have seen that how the society was of that particular time, how exploitative the Brahmanism has got, what sort of social evils were prevailing back then. This rituals, hegemony of Brahmins were of such a high level that people were sort of troubled in such a way that they would do anything. And Buddhism and Jainism both came in front as a light to this darker phase of Hinduism. So Buddhism basically was a reaction towards Brahmanism, and that is something an established fact. Now, next is, what did the Buddhism preach? That is, the basic tenets of Buddhism was, first, it was simple. It was something which was focused on charity, purity, self-sacrifice, truthfulness, control over passion. Now these are something which are easy to understand and practical to do. And that is why these two things, Buddhism was actually spreading like a fire in, basically you can say, the bushes. So we are going to discuss its contribution or its impact on Indian society. Now just understanding this thing, Buddhism has very beautiful understanding over here. We'll start with the first point, which is national unity. Now what do I mean by national unity is that according to E.B. Havel, this is important, you have to write this name if the question comes and Buddhism is asked in particular for 15 markers to 20 markers. So Buddhism did the same thing in India what Christianity did in 7th century, and that is something which was related to cultivating nationalism. So Christianity in the years in 7th century was basically the pioneer or stalwart of cultivating nationalism. Similar thing was done by Buddhism under this particular thing in the later phase of time. Now this was basically a blow to dominance of Brahmins. Now why I am saying it is that there was exploitation and there was this superiority and inferiority syndrome which was there, and due to which there was no equality. And Buddhism is something which helped us derive this concept of equality and egalitarianism from core. The next thing is it destructed or destroyed the militant spirit. Now militant spirit, you can see it from the modern day, some sort of an rogue nation like Pakistan. What they want, or even for that matter China. For that matter, China wants land of Arunachal Pradesh, it wants land of Aksai Chin. It is also showing its aggression to Turkmenistan. It is also showing its aggression to Taiwan and even the Senkaku Islands with Japan. So we have to understand that this Buddhism helped India or Indian subcontinent in destruction of the militant spirit. For example, after Kalinga war that you all know, Ashoka gave up this uh, warfare, and he basically preached Dhamma. And Dhamma means basically the Dharma, which is Dharma Ghosh, like victory with the religion. The most other important thing was Ahimsa. And this Vasudeva Kutumbakam is a concept which is based on Buddhism in such a way that it destroyed the militant spirit. Similarly, on the other hand, it promoted equality and it brought people together. That is nothing but that Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The next is it made contact with outside world. For example, Sri Lanka, then the Swarnadweep Island, China, Japan, South Korea basically, okay, Philippines, all these countries, this region was flooded with Buddhism. Buddhism was also blue to caste system because people left Hinduism and went to Buddhism, which was basically equal in nature, which was preaching equality back then. As far as Hinduism concerned, the earlier Varna, that is Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra and untouchable, basically not untouchable, these things were part of Hindu society. So if someone is born Shudra, will die Shudra, and even his child and his children of the male generation will be Shudra. This was the evil of caste system, which was done away by the Buddhism because it preached equality. Next is it made simplification of caste system. K.M. Panikar has said that there is no secret mantra, there is no secret sacrifices, no sacrifices. So this is something basically is that it is a simple sort of religion. You go there, you worship it, and that is it. So that is something we call it as a simplification of caste system. Next is improvement on moral structure. This is something which is an outcome if we are willing to be rational, if we are willing to move forward, if we are willing to be more acceptance we are able to increase. That is something we bring improvement on the moral front. Then effect on Brahmanical religion. So even due to Buddhism, Brahmanism was converted into Hinduism, which was more of a reformed religion, because as far as Brahmanism back then was concerned, it was maybe 1,000 times more exploitative what Hinduism was in the 18th century, and maybe a lakh times more than what it is today. So there is a good trajectory of this religion which is showing on a progress. So that is something which is Brahmanical religion. The next is literature. There is a Sutta Pitak, Vinaya Pitak, Abhidhamma Pitak, and a lot of literature have been given by Buddhists. They gave particularly importance to Pali and Sanskrit. Okay, this is something which is not relevant over here. It is in the Jainism. So here Sanskrit and Pali was something which was promoted. So even these languages are existence in today. And education. Back then, to the Indian society, Buddhism played a significant role by establishing Nalanda, Takshila, and the Vikramshila universities. And if we talk about art, Buddhism provided a very important thing like Chaitya, Vihara, caves, and it gave 3 schools of art, that is Gandhara, Mathura, and Amaravati. So if a question comes on this, you are going to write all this thing and you are going to explain each one of the point, and that is how you are going to score good marks. Next is impact of Buddhism on Indian society. Jainism on Indian society. Now, as far as Jainism is concerned, the introduction will be similar, which is same to the Buddhism, that it was a reaction towards Brahmanism, and it came into existence. You can add with the Vardhaman Mahavira's point, and that is how you are going to start it. Now, moving to the directly on the body, that is contribution. So, Jainism gave this beautiful thing, we call it as ethical idealism, okay, that preached various great things, that how a man should be in a society. Then moral virtues and ethical life. So ethical life means chastity, responsibility towards family, and that sort of thing. Moral virtues Virtues are basically morality. You people have studied in ethics that this is basically understanding of what right and what is not. When it comes to our own conscience, we call it as a morality. So ethical life, this is something which have been given by Jainism and are being practiced in Indian society. Then Jainism also talks about acquisition of knowledge. It also talks about austerity, internal, external, both, meditation and penance if we have committed a sin. But this Jainism also preaches kindness. It also prohibited the intoxicants like liquor and all drugs. All sort of these things are being prohibited by Jainism. Jainism have established dharmshala. That is from the past, and even today we find dharmashalas which are doing selfless services. Next, the Jainism have immense contributed to art, architecture, temple and paintings. In southern India, we have mural paintings, we have frescoes. To substantiate its presence in painting. Temples, we have Dilwara temple, Didwala temple, then that is the Mount Abu temple. So we have so many temples. Then architecture and art, we have the largest standing monolithic statue. So this is something which is over here. And then Jainism also provided the ethical code. Now we know that there are certain principles as far as the Jainism is concerned, which is Satya, Ahimsa, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha and Ahimsa. Satya, Asteya, and means no steal. Aparigraha means do not acquire anyone else's property. Satya means truth. Brahmacharya means till you get married you have to only follow the dharma, no going for artha and kama. Then ahimsa means basically no violence. So this is principle. There are some Triratna of Jainism: right knowledge, right faith and right conduct. So these are certain that is the Triratna of Jainism. Next is moral virtues, which is also called as Anuvarna. Now we are going to talk about the vows that are being taken. For example, right state of mind, meditation, fasting, confession and penance. So these are certain vows that Buddhist monk, Jain as well as the Jain monk takes. There's reason for gradual disappearing of Buddhism, Jainism and Buddhism for that matter. Thing first is absence of hostility. The other two religion, for example Hinduism or for that matter say Brahmanism, was basically reacting towards the changes which were happening in the Buddhism. So these were the hostile religion, these were the religion with power. Now Jainism, Buddhism, these had no hostility. These were the peaceful sort of religion. They, when it comes to Jainism, it didn't even have missionary spirit. So Buddhism though had missionary spirit, Jainism did not. And these were the reason for gradual disappearing of Jainism. Okay. The next topic in this is Islam. Now Islam, say for example till 7th century AD, Harshvardhan was ruling over northern part of the Indian peninsula and that was united back then. But after the death of Harsha, there was a political disintegration and there was no central authority until the Islam as a religion came and then established, and it provided unity, it provided stability. Alright, and that is how the Islam is established. Now if we talk about contribution towards of Islam in India, there are various contributions. For that matter, we start with religion, religious impact. Islam preached equality, fraternity, it rejected caste and untouchability. So Islam basically, when it comes, it preached monotheism, All right. After monotheism, it also talks about the equality, okay, which is here, and all sort of fraternity and all the points that we have written. Next is what was the impact on upper caste Hindus. So these people basically converted to Islam. So dresses like anarkali or the pathanis and etc. These are the dresses. Etiquettes like there is a Jamuni Tehzeeb. Even when you might have seen the movie Jolly LLB 2. So there is this कानपुर में है आप तो कानपुरी अदब से रहिए. So that is the etiquettes of something कि पहले आप that is etiquette. Next is the food, recreation for that matter, okay. Then food like biryani, kebab, all sort of things. Then music we are going to discuss separately over here, so not discussing here. Instrument, so there were a lot of instruments that were brought with Islam. Then music, Qawwali, Khayal, these sort of Qawwali particularly came with Islam. Then art and craft, this Taj, for example, Taj, Minars, okay, Minars, Taj, Charbagh. So all these things were basically art and craft contribution which was given by Islam. For example, the arabesque, geometric pattern, because Islam prohibits animal and human appearance on anything, so geometric pattern. So that is something which was contributed by Islam. Next is language and literature. Islam helped Urdu, okay. This is something. Even literature wise we have Akbarnama, Babarnama, and all these things highlight the socio-economic time of that period, and hence it helps India to establish its well-defined history. Next and last topic over is Christianity. So with the advent of 16th century BC, Portuguese, Dutch, English and French, in the sequence this helped spread Christianity. There was a missionary work, and that is something we understand it that there was modernization and also westernization. Modernization means increasing rationality, understanding, developing our intellectual abilities and etc. And be more rational is modernism. Westernization is simply copying the West. So both the things were the impact of Christianity in India. If we talk about language, English was basically the language which helped uniting the country, because there was a lingua franca. There was no lingua franca for the whole subcontinent, and there were different languages in different part. English played a bridge so that a person can cross from one language to other. Then the female missionaries played a significant role. You might have heard Margaret Mead and so other people. They were putting some efforts as far as India is concerned. So female missionaries, even for that matter, Annie Besant, she was also a female missionary. So they helped made a significant impact on education system in India and contributed towards educating Indian women. They attacked the social evil such as parda, widow remarriage, which was not allowed, okay. Then education, sati, female infanticide, sorry. So this is something which was the social level. They also attacked caste system, and they established the egalitarian society. In paper they did. Then uplifting the victim, for example, the missionaries provided hospitals, schools, dispensaries, etc. towards the people. And when there was a disaster like situation or disaster, they also provided relief. Alright. Various social services like scholarships, hospitalization, etc., education was provided. For example, in the Northeast India, when mother used to die while delivering a child, the child used to get buried along with mother. But Christian missionaries established orphan houses, and thus saving people and children. Then old people, etc. Then education and medical facilities was provided by missionaries. Legal justice was focused. Civil rights were emphasized. Values such as equality, equity, and universalism came into the light. Then modernization and economic development was also one of the outcome of Christianity, or spread of Christianity. It was marked with liberalism and humanism, art and architecture, and democracy. So these are certain areas where Christianity has contributed. If a question comes, then I'm telling you a little mnemonic, okay, that you are going to write. The mnemonic is Mr. Please. M stands for music, R stands for religion, P stands for polity, L stands for language and literature, E stands for education, E stands for economy, A stands for art and culture, S stands for society. So when you're going to write an answer, impact, for example, if directly 15 marker comes, and which is impact on impact of, say for example, Buddhism, or just say impact of Christianity on India or Indian society. So you are going to write, but not in this MR, write it down. So PLEASEMR. Political impact like democracy, etc. Literature and language like English, and Gitanjali was one of the first renowned translation. Education, what was its role in education? Art and architecture. Society, like social evil, caste system, etc. Then economy, like modernization, etc. will come. Music, and the last one is religion. What is the role? So this is something, if a 15 to 20 marker come, you're going to write it over here. Either it can also be asked in 10 markers, straightforward one thing. So this was all about the unit 3, and now unit 3 is over. From tomorrow onwards we will be doing the further topics, so stay tuned and thank you for watching.